For 4.5 billion years, our world has thrived under a golden sun, a vibrant oasis of life suspended within the vast cosmic ocean. Civilization pulses with energy, unaware that every heartbeat of our planet is governed by the rhythmic ticking of a cosmic countdown that began at birth. Our sun is a magnificent nuclear furnace, a stable engine of fusion that has powered the rise of life through sheer, unrelenting gravitational force and heat. But even the stars have a finite lifespan, a limit to the fuel they can burn before the delicate balance of physics begins to tilt. The very blueprint of life was written in the light of this star, evolving from simple cells into the complex consciousness that now observes the heavens. Every strand of DNA carries the legacy of billions of years of solar energy, a biological record of a world basking in a golden era. We are currently living in the final chapters of this golden age as the sun slowly begins to brighten with each passing million years. The oceans, the cradle of all life, will eventually feel the growing fever of their creator, starting a slow and irreversible transformation of our world. Green lands will wither, and the gentle rains will cease as the atmosphere traps more heat, turning our home into a pressurized greenhouse of salt. The clock is ticking, not in human years, but in the grand scale of galactic time, where empires are but a blink in the darkness. We stand at the precipice of a final act, watching the prologue of a symphony that will end in fire and silent, frozen eternity. 5 billion years from now, the hydrogen core is exhausted. The sun swells into a red giant, a monster of light reclaiming its planetary children. Mercury is the first to fall, its rocky shell dissolved into the searing plasma of the star that once gave it warmth and light. Venus follows, its toxic clouds blasted away by the solar wind before the planet itself is swallowed by the hungry, expanding red horizon. On Earth, the atmosphere is gone. The mountains melt into rivers of glass, and the ground we once walked becomes a sea of liquid fire. The monuments of humanity, the cities of steel and stone, vanish into the molten crust as the heat reaches thousands of degrees in the shadows. Gravity begins to tear at the very structure of our planet, pulling the mantle apart as Earth is drawn into the final, fatal embrace. The sun is no longer a gentle provider. It is a titan of destruction, burning with the desperate energy of a dying celestial king. The cradle of humanity is torn asunder, its atoms scattered into the solar fire, leaving behind only the ghost of a world that once was. The internal balance is gone. The solar system's heart has grown too large, devouring the inner sanctuary where life once dared to dream. Even the moon, our silent companion through the nights of history, is reclaimed by the fire, ending its long watch over the terrestrial ruins. The light of the red giant reaches out to the frozen giants, casting a bloody hue over the rings of Saturn and the storms of Jupiter. Inside the star, the battle between gravity and fusion intensifies, a violent struggle that signals the beginning of the end for the solar throne. The memory of Earth is erased from the physical world, burned into nothingness by the very star that gave it the breath of life. But humanity does not wait for the fire. We become the children of the stars, launching great fleets into the dark to preserve our spark. Within these metallic shells, we carry the green of the earth, the water of our rivers, and the hope of a species that refuses to vanish. The outer solar system becomes our temporary harbor, a waypoint in the long journey toward a new sun and a different kind of destiny. On the moons of the giants, we find water and sanctuary, building cities beneath miles of ice to shield ourselves from the sun's final wrath. Civilization thrives in the cold dark, powered by the tidal heat of the moons, as we prepare for the leap across the interstellar void. Gravity assist maneuvers and nuclear fire propel us outward, leaving the dying home system behind as we seek the warmth of younger stars. The charts of our ancestors guide us through the dark, tracing paths through the gravitational currents of the galaxy toward a new beginning. We bend the laws of physics to bridge the impossible distances, turning light years into milestones on the road to our survival as a species. Under the light of a new sun, the DNA of Earth takes root once more, adapting to the rhythms of an alien sky and new horizons. We become a race of nomads and historians, carrying the digital ghosts of a blue planet that no longer exists in any physical form. The diaspora of humanity spreads like seeds on the solar wind, ensuring that the story of our kind is never truly finished or forgotten. We build new homes around stable, long-lived stars, learning to endure in a universe that is slowly growing older and more mysterious. The legacy of the sun lives on in us, 1,000 civilizations born from a single star that burned itself out to give us time. The red giant phase ends. In a final, graceful gasp, the sun sheds its outer skin, painting the void with a masterwork of glowing gas. This is the Planetary Nebula, a ghost of a star, a monument of light that will shine for thousands of years across the silence. At the center remains the heart of the star, a white dwarf. Small as the Earth, yet holding the mass of 1,000,000 worlds. It is a diamond in the dark, a concentrated ember of what once was a celestial furnace, cooling slowly over trillions of long years. The surviving giants, Jupiter and Saturn, orbit a cold and silent master, their atmospheres frozen solid in the eternal winter of the system. The beautiful rings of Saturn shatter and disperse, their icy particles lost to the interstellar dark as the old order of the system dissolves. The nebula eventually fades, its gases reclaimed by the galaxy to perhaps one day form the foundations of new stars and new worlds. A profound peace settles over the graveyard of our home. The symphony has ended, leaving only a single, high-pitched note of white light. Time becomes a vast, stretching horizon. The white dwarf cools through the spectrum of colors, transitioning into the long twilight of its existence. The tattered remnants of the solar system drift like debris in a forgotten museum, relics of a time when this place was full of noise. To the rest of the universe, this death is unnoticed, just another star among billions concluding its journey through the river of time. Matter itself reaches its final, most stable form, settling into a crystalline state that will outlast the light of every galaxy we see. Eventually, the light fails completely. The sun becomes a black dwarf, a cold, dark cinder hidden forever in the shadows of the cosmos. Trillions of years pass. The expansion of the universe has pushed the galaxies apart, leaving each star system isolated in an endless, empty void. One by one, the last of the red dwarfs, the longest living stars, flicker and die, like candles in a room where the air has run out. The era of stars ends. The universe is inherited by the black holes, the great scavengers that consume the final traces of visible matter. In the ultimate darkness, these titans clash, their mergers sending invisible tremors through a space that no longer holds any eyes to see. But even black holes are not eternal. They slowly leak energy back into the vacuum, a process so slow it defies human comprehension. Then comes the decay of the proton. The very building blocks of matter begin to dissolve, and the physical world begins to lose its structure. The iron spheres that were once stars, the ships that carried our hope, and the bones of our ancestors, all evaporate into fundamental light. Distance loses its meaning. Time becomes irrelevant. The universe reaches a state of maximum entropy, where no more energy can be exchanged. It is the Big Freeze, a state of absolute stillness where the temperature of everything approaches the final frozen floor of the laws of physics. The final black hole vanishes in a whisper of radiation, leaving the universe truly empty for the first time since the Big Bang. In this infinite void, the concept of human is less than a memory. It is a mathematical impossibility that once occurred in a forgotten era. Space itself continues to expand, thinning out the remaining energy until the density of the universe is effectively zero for all eternity. The symphony has reached its final silence. The laws of nature have played their part, and the stage is now perfectly, beautifully empty. Yet we must remember that for a brief, glorious moment, the universe was alive. It had eyes to see and a mind to wonder. Our existence was not a mistake. It was the way the cosmos found to experience its own majesty, to love and to be loved. Every discovery we made, every mountain we climbed, and every song we wrote became a permanent ripple in the fabric of cosmic history. Though the physical traces fade, the fact that we were here remains a truth that can never be undone by time or entropy. We are stardust that came to life, a brief flash of consciousness that bridged the gap between the beginning and the end of all things. Our story is part of the solar symphony, a melody that resonated through the void, proving that even in the dark, light can find a way. The Earth may be gone, but its legacy is the spirit of exploration that we carried with us into the deep, interstellar ocean. We lived in the most interesting hour of the cosmic day, the era of light and complexity, the brief window when life was possible. The meaning of our journey wasn't to last forever, but to see clearly, to understand deeply, and to cherish the fleeting gift of life. In the end, all that we were and all that we will be is gathered into a single point of truth. We were here. We are the storytellers of the infinite. Our voices may fall silent, but the story we told will echo in the structures of time forever. The symphony is over. The curtain falls. But for a few billion years, the music was absolutely, breathtakingly beautiful.